What's going on, traders? It's Ricky with TechBot Solutions. We're going to give it a couple minutes so some of our traders from the TechBot Solutions community can start tuning in. For those that are joining us for the first time, we go live every single morning, Monday through Friday. I usually go live 30 minutes or either 15 minutes before the market opens. So as of now, the market's going to be opening in about 13 minutes. Therefore, it will give us some time to identify potential, plan out our trades, and see what it is that we want to take a position on. I want to make sure that we lead by example and start off by saying that we never trade a stock based on anyone else's opinion. We never trade what we don't understand or can't manage, and we always have a plan when it comes down to trading, meaning that you have to identify a buy point, sell point, and a cut loss point to make sure that we can manage our risk. I want to thank you guys again for tuning in. I do want to take this time real quick. I'm going to be sharing my screen. And then for those that are going to be asking, I'm using the TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim platform. It is a 100% free platform that you guys can utilize. I actually use the Fidelity app to execute my trades. So those are two different brokerage companies that those aren't for those that aren't familiar. But I want to take this time. I'm going to be sharing my screen and show you guys exactly, if you're not a part of TechBot Solutions, how you can join. It's going to be the Facebook group link down below. Again, the Facebook group is free. So I'm going to click share my screen, and once you guys get accepted to the TechBot Solutions platform, if you guys can do me the biggest favor and please review these rules. Download the GroupMe app. Do not touch the group chat settings. Disable notifications on your smartphone and not on the app. And then follow the rules. We just try to provide a supportive and welcoming environment for both all new and experienced traders. Please be sure to review, again, these top rules to make sure that we don't receive any type of just error within the group, because then we'll have to remove you. Again, they're all free group chats. You're more than welcome to join. And then the way that we try to promote the best type of quality when it comes down to posting our alerts, we make sure that we want to, we call it the bands format. So you want to post the ticker symbol, the support, the resistance, the desired entry point and sell point, and then why it has potential. Like being able to do that every time that you post an alert, it overall just promotes a better quality type of post. So I hope you guys understand that. All right, so this is the TechBot Solutions group chat. So if we go right here, these are just two out of a series of group chats that we have available. We have some for swing trading. This is the main group chat right here. We have some from pre-market movers. So it really comes down to what it is that you're looking for when it comes down to, what is it that you want to trade. Again, we don't tell you what to trade. It's all about sharing best practices, sharing mistakes, and an effort to promote overall group growth. So let me give you guys an example of what I mean like as an exposure. I'm not gonna, you see, everyone's talking about DFFN. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna put DFFN, and because I was exposed to that opportunity based on the group chat, does that mean that I 100% have to add this or trade this stock? No, you as an investor have to understand to identify potential and to only invest in what you see value in. So what I can see right here is, it's a decent stock. It meets the criteria based on I only trade stocks from about $1 to $30. So I do not trade stocks less than $1. At least I try to as minimal as possible. So I'm going to click here. Thank you guys again for those that shadow this stock out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply add DFN to my default watch list, and then there it is. Therefore, it gives me a better understanding when I do have time to perform my technical analysis that I do every single day. I can see if DFFN is a stock that I potentially want to trade. If it's not, then again, it's just going to stay there until it meets certain criteria that meets the type of trading that I want to do. Then I'll follow back up with it, and then that could be a potential trade. But it all comes down to exposure. So it comes down to you as an investor to identify what it is that you want to invest. But don't be narrow-minded in the sense of saying that or closed-minded in the sense that you only trade what it is that you're accustomed to and stuff like that. Exposure is key. It comes down to you as an investor to identify that as good exposure or bad exposure. So real quickly, for those that are going to be asking, what is it that I see for DFFN? Let's see. Let's go a little bit further back. I want to know a little bit more about this. So I'm going to go to a 2-day analysis. Well, it looks like it came from a 190 support, broke the $2 mark, and then this was this is all during aftermarket. No, this is all during pre-market hours. It popped right on through, hit a resistance at about 270, had a pullback, and then has been holding above 230 the entire pre-market. Does that mean that it's going to hold above 230 when the market opens? Well, no. Understand that there's a series of people that are going to be want to be locking in profit. Therefore, if the demand for selling is greater than the demand for buying, then obviously we're going to have a huge pullback, and it comes down to identifying the bounce, breaking a resistance, and then deciding to jump on it. I'll follow up with this one, but it looks pretty good. So I'm going to set my alert here. So I'm simply going to right click, and then I'm going to go when it goes below 230. Again, for those that are going to be asking, I'm using the TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim platform. I've made a video, so if you simply search up TD Ameritrade, Thinkorswim, and then put my name, Ricky Gutierrez, on the YouTube search bar, I will pop up with a series of videos that I've created for this specific platform on how I personally use it. This is one that I was following up with. The reason that I like, I've made numerous videos before on why I love chasing red stocks. The reason that I find this one to be so attractive is because it had a huge pullback down to $6.20, has a resistance at $6.60, and it previously closed at $6.70. So it had a gap down. Does that mean that it's going to stay above $6.70? Not necessarily, but what it means is that it's built this margin. If we can make it back up to the $6.60 resistance, which is obviously a resistance that it's not been able to break during pre-market hours, it gives us this gap that even if we do get it, it bounced at $6.20, and I don't really care where it bounced. I want to buy not on a downward trend, but when it starts to bounce back up. Therefore, if you see the MACD indicator, it's telling that I should have sold right here. Again, I don't really care too much about the MACD indicator. What I really like to focus on when looking at the MACD indicator, which is this right here, is how the bars are formed. Once I see that the bars, these are just too small because the volume is just way too small. But once I see the bars start curving in or start rounding from bottom, then that gives me a better understanding that this thing's about to, bounce back up. And I would want, and me personally, I like to wait for a break of a resistance. So if anything, I can wait for the break of $6.35 until it breaks above that. And if it does break above that, then I can make the decision and plan out my trade. What would be my plan for this one? And again, it comes down to you trading only what you see, potential in. I'm just sharing my whole thought process. Please don't trade just based on my opinion. But if you see potential, then set up your own plan. So once it breaks above 635, it's telling me that it's, seeing signs of upward momentum. The hardest thing for a stock to do is not breaking supports, but breaking resistance, meaning that it's actually, seeing the demand that it needs to continue moving back up. We understand that the overall resistance is at 660 for the day, meaning that realistically, we could potentially get there. Does that mean 100%? No. Understand that that's why it's so important to have a plan. So if I break above 635, I'll try to take a position around 635, and I'll try to sell around 660. As it continues to rise and break these resistance of like 640, 645, 650, I will most likely follow with a stop loss, meaning that I will originally buy in at 635, try to sell at 660, and I'll first have my stop loss set either at what would that be? I would most likely have my stop loss set at 630. Unless I get in at 630, then I'll have my stop loss at 625. Again, I like to manage my risk to a 1-to-5 ratio, meaning that for every 5%, I'm only risking 1%, meaning that if I lock in a 5% profit, then at least if I day trade for the next 2 days and I cut my losses at 1%, I still end up the week on a green note. It comes down to like what type of ratios you guys like setting up and what's worth the risk for you. So, all right, entry at 635. 630 to 635, depending on the break, or if we have a pullback, then I would have to wait for the bounce, and I can get a little bit closer to the support. But again, I want to see the break in the resistance, and then from 635 to 660, we're seeing about 3.93% potential with about a little bit less than a 1% loss. All right, so we're back below 30. Let me put on level 2, and it really comes down to something that simple. And as it continues to rise, once it breaks above, 640, then I'll move my stop loss at 635. When it, moves up to like 650, I can move my stop loss to 640. When it moves up to, 655, whatever it is, as it approaches this resistance, then I will, put my limit order or get ready to actually sell my entire position. So it just comes down to the type of plan that you have. So AMD looks like it's going to be topping out. Based on where it topped out yesterday, there's a resistance at 1375. If I'm not mistaken, let's go back. And it's been showing signs of downward momentum. It's just been staircasing down slowly, right? It does have nice little pops, but doesn't hold really throughout the entire day. So that's just something that we have to follow up with. DFNN, see where that stands. Yeah, the FNN is back at the 230 support. It looks like it bounced there already and is approaching, to gap back up. So again, that's still a decent margin. That's about 8%. So for those that could have gotten in, again, that's still really good. Again, the MACD indicator, I don't care where it's telling me to buy or sell because it's a little too delayed. All I care about is, when it comes down to like sticking to the basics of support and resistance, making sure that I'm getting at a good buy, making sure that I'm buying at a sign of upward momentum, and to make sure that the volume is there, just in case I get in, that I can actually get out without the volume being too low. So don't really see much. The heck. Okay, well, it looks like RAD was holding pretty well above 260 all day yesterday. This is one that we traded yesterday. I traded it from a very not the best position, from 267 to 273. But ended up hitting highs. And again, let's see how it still stands with its overall position. So it looks like we have about 2 minutes and 13 seconds till market open, team. So get prepared with your positions. Yeah, so it's showing a consistent sign of upward momentum, and then it kind of, saw drawback, flatlined, and then, is most likely coming to staircase back up. So, or, whatever it is that you guys see valuing. So it looks like you guys are calling out a certain amount of stocks. Continue doing what it is that you guys do. I've already analyzed during the first 15 minutes of the pre-market hours. I didn't like this stock because, again, it doesn't meet my criteria when it comes down to trading stocks that are above $1. This is a 67-cent stock, and I think a lot of it has to do with hype, because there's just I think too much manipulation when it comes to this specific stock on how it gets pumped. And if you guys can see, these pumps are getting smaller and smaller. Therefore, most likely we're going to see a sudden drop. It looks like it has an overall support at 63. So if it breaks below 63, then that's definitely not a good sign. So make sure you guys have your stop loss right as the market opens. I want to make sure that I lead by example and making sure that you guys understand the importance of having a plan. Every time that you trade, you have to have a plan: the entry, the exit, and then the cut loss as well. One of the last things that I want to say is, okay, you guys, I'll still analyze some stocks once the market opens, but I have 59 seconds. Cred, I forgot my my whole thought process. I guess I'll just go back to analyzing stocks. Man, gee willikers. All right, I already analyzed this one, didn't I? Oh, I'm not too sure if I did this on my own time. Well, I didn't like this one because it was too overhyped yesterday, but just know that it had a resistance yesterday at 280. So if it breaks above 280, then that could be a good sign. Has a support at 220. The only reason I say that is because that's where it bounced, and once it broke above 220, it never actually went below. So again, we saw a bounce there, we saw resistance here, and looks like it's trying to hold above 240. Doesn't mean that it will, doesn't mean that it'll break above 280, but when it does, again, I just want to be alerted. We have 10 seconds, team. Alrighty, well, I'm gonna get my, yeah, it looks like INO. I kind of like the setup on INO. Again, I just like chasing red stocks, meaning that I like them really close to the support, and if they end up bouncing, great. But if not, at least I know that, the importance of having a stop loss, I can cut my losses right away. All right, market's open. JNUG having a nice little pullback. Let's see. I want to thank you guys again for those that are tuning in right now. All right, I know. Let me get my order ready. So again, I know right now it's at 621. Does that mean that I want to buy at the lowest price? Again, it's not about buying the lowest price, because if it breaks below the support at 620, then my trade becomes, or my plan becomes, insignificant. So it just broke below 620. So that's not something that I want to see. But again, if it bounces back up, then that's a good sign. But it doesn't look like it's bouncing back up. And again, there's too many people that based on this loss that they're taking, they probably just want to sell. Therefore, the demand for this stock at 620 isn't necessarily there because of the amount of people that want to cut losses. Lows of 616. It's not dropping as hard as I thought it would. So it looks like it's coming back up. Again, if it bounces back up and it breaks above, 630, then that would be a good sign for me. JNUG making moves. I'm actually going to sell my position for JNUG for those that Rad went. Oh, okay. Rad just broke below support team. So again, that's not showing good signs. All right, AMD, this one's not showing a good sign. Continues to drop. I'm going to put my alert when it breaks above 620. And I'll follow up with this one. This one's dropping actually pretty quickly. Crud. Had my limit order at 1758. Just a little too short. Let's see if I get filled. And again, I don't have an enormous position on JNUG, but I originally bought it as a swing. The reason why is I was already doing well for the day with my trade on RAD and ZN yesterday. So JNUG was just like, a swing that I saw that it had potential at the support at 1730. I bought in at 1735. But again, it's not doing an enormous amount, and it's not anything huge. It's a couple dollars. So now it's trying to hold above 610. So that's decent. But is it going to hold above 610? So like we know, the old support was 620. So that's going to become the new resistance for those that aren't familiar with that specific. For that specific trend. So. All right, following up with AMD. AMD, like always, having a huge pullback or sell-off right at market open. Usually bounces, but again, the margin for profit, because this being a $13 stock, are not necessarily always huge. Oh, now I remember what I was going to tell you guys. All right, so from the resistance that I had yesterday and from the bottom that it's building right now at 1350, it's about 1%, 1.2, not really worth it. Holy moly, crap. Dang it. Okay. Did I not set my alert for this one when I broke the resistance? I'm not too sure if I was too distracted. This is why it's so difficult to trade when I'm going live. Okay, this is actually the stock that everyone was talking about. It's the AE, what is that? ZS. All right, so just broke above the resistance. This is definitely a momentum stock. Guys, if you don't understand it, don't trade it. I always understand you have to have a plan, at least follow with a stop loss or have a stop loss set, because with these momentum stocks, you can see that the huge, for those that try to buy in at 280 yesterday, ended up hitting lows of, that's 17% loss. Just make sure you have a plan when it comes down to trading these stocks. Yeah, this is just, again, it does have like great potential, and it looks like it's making its way back up to that, trying to make its way back up to that $3 mark, which is great. So I had a huge gap down, and that's why I like chasing red stocks, because again, they make sense to trade from time to time. But something that I don't like is that, it took like months for it to actually gap back up to where it is. But again, it took months. It did it. It broke a certain resistance, and then ever since then, it's been gapping up. So it's most likely going to hit. Again, be ready for the sell-off, guys. It's not always going to continue to rise. Be ready for the sell-off. Have a stop loss set. You guys have to understand, if you guys don't have a plan, then I don't really know what to explain to you guys. But good luck with your trade. But again, it doesn't come down. All right, INO is bouncing back. 620. So it did bounce it from 610, so that's solid. It's not holding above 620, so probably don't want to jump into that position yet. RAD is still below 260, so that broke support. RIG, I did see that it broke above 880, and it notified me on that. JNUG is not moving the way that I wanted to. I'm going to set my alert if it breaks below the support at 640. All right. JNUG sees such a high amount of volume that if it does break above 657, I will most likely sell my position automatically. Not automatically, but you know what I mean. So again, DFN had a nice little break when it broke above the resistance. We call these breakouts. So again, it broke a resistance that it had, or wait, where is it? So it broke a resistance that I had during pre-market hours, and once it broke that, not only did it break the previous resistance that I had at 260, hit a high of $3, which is a common trend that it either goes at fives or zeros, right? Hit $3 and is now seeing a pullback, and is most likely going to try to bounce at around 250 to 260. Guys, yeah, like for those that think that it's always going to continue to rise, if you guys, oh, wait, sell 25 shares filled at 1758 for JNUG. There we go. And watch JNUG just shoot up right now, just that I sold. What the heck? People are buying in such small shares. Okay, I'm off. Just like I said, every time that I sell, I just saw the resistance during pre-market hours at 1760. So that's my reasoning on why I sold at 1760. I saw that it hit highs yesterday of 1780. But again, again, this was more of a swing. And of course, right as I sell, this always happens. Especially when I sold my position yesterday on ZN. It's hilarious, but it's like kind of frustrating, you know, because we talk about sticking to your plan and the importance of that, just consistent profit. And I 100% agree. Don't get me wrong, but man, it sucks, dude. Like I can't put into words. Like yesterday with my position on ZN, I stuck to what, holy moly. And now it broke above 520. Okay. Well, I called out the support yesterday at 525 because it's been a very common trend, and the break above 430. I ended up selling when it broke above 440. And when it broke above 440, not only did it continue to rise, but it made new highs for the day at like 494. Huge, like unknown, like kind of like gains, right? And again, it comes down to only investing in what you understand and not what you're hoping for. So it had a really nice breakout this morning. So congrats to those that were able to trade it. But it, yeah, I definitely did not. So, yeah. All right, I know. Yeah, not holding above 620. Right. All right. JNUG having a pullback back at where I sold it at. Snapchat. I was thinking of making a video on Snapchat. Not too sure if I'm going to. I want to take this time as it's kind of starting to slow down. Oh, it looks like you guys were calling ZN. So hopefully some of you were able to jump on in. But as I have some of you guys tuning in right now, let's go ahead and again review. For those that are going to be joining our group chats, right, the TechBot Solutions group chat, and that want to be a part of the TechBot Solutions Facebook platform, again, the link is provided for you down below. It's all 100% free. We have a little bit over 32,000 members, including the Facebook group and all the different platforms we have available. On the top pinned post for the Facebook group, once you get accepted, please download the GroupMe app. Please do not touch the group settings. Please disable notifications on your smartphone settings and not the group chat settings. And then you have to go by the certain rules and guidelines that we have available just to make sure that we promote, you know, a supportive and welcoming environment for both new and experienced traders. And the format that you guys should be using every time that you call out stocks, you guys can copy and paste it, and it's right here. It's called the bands format. Please be sure to follow just to make it that much more efficient and effective when it comes to trading. If you guys are looking for an effective type of platform, as TechBot Solutions continues to grow drastically, it's very hard to, in a sense, maintain the quality of information being shared. So if I can simply at least ask you guys to use that specific format when calling out stocks, again, that will ensure that we are only focusing and exposing ourselves to quality stocks and at least have some data or some background for each individual member to at least understand. And it comes down to, again, I know it's not just the quickest thing that you can put out there, but it comes down to it being more, higher quality. So I hope you guys see the value in that, and I hope you guys understand why it is that I'm calling that out. So I like INO. It looks like it's about to, based on this curve that it's seen right here, it looks like it's about to start like this MACD, if you guys can see right here, it's starting to curve in. So it's most likely going to start curving in and breaking the resistance at 620. So I'm going to set up a plan. If I buy in right now at 617, let's say I stop loss out at 610. That's a 1% loss with a potential profit. Even if I sell at 635 for 2.31, that's obviously not the best ratio, But again, overall understanding that if it continues to rise, based on the overall highs that it had during pre-market hours, so again, realistic highs, those are highs of 660. Therefore, from where I am right now, my potential for profit would be roughly around 6%, with my potential for loss being a little bit less. So I'm going to make the decision to jump on in, and we're going to go from there. So I have a plan. I'm going to set my stop loss right away. So I'm going to set my stop loss. If it breaks below 610, then I will cut my losses. But if it continues to hold, then, all right. Again, this is not a penny stock. It's a $6.18 stock. So not necessarily even labeled as a completely low cap stock. But, oh man. Right now, it's kind of just hesitating there. So the MACD indicator now reported it to be, or indicated it to be a buy. EMA line's getting a little bit closer. Let's see if, I would much rather actually wait for the break above 620. But again, it hasn't been holding very well above 620. It's seen somewhat of a pullback. So there's somewhat of a support at 617. So I'm going to try to see if I can get filled there. All right, give me 1 second. Looks like I had a drop, but my order never actually. Huge pullback. No. My order got stuck, and it's not searching. I'm not too sure what's going on with my smartphone. So I just got an alert by Matt saying that he made a profit on AEZS. He held overnight, bought at 252, sold at 293. That's freaking huge. That's like 40%, or what is that? No, 20% profit. Congrats, Matt. Looks like it's building a support. This is actually a better buy point, but not too sure why my phone isn't working. It's not searching anything. This is frustrating. Okay, so it's not my phone, it's the actual app itself. That's fun. Yeah, no, it's not working. Okay. Great. Okay. Well, I can't enter a position, so it let me sell JNEG, but it won't let me do anything else. I feel like I played that one pretty well. I sold it at where I saw the resistance. Had another resistance based on 617. What the heck? Where's INO at? INO is right at the support. Right at support. Is it going to break below? Too many sellers, way too many sellers. Not enough buyers. They're picking up. Broke below. Okay. JNUG broke below 1740, so I think I did well there. All right. Alrighty, team. Well, I'm gonna have to reach out to Fidelity because my app isn't working and I can't execute any position. So, okay, information or data is starting to come back up, but still nothing is showing. Because I got an email saying that my position was sent, but yeah, it said it errored out, and that's frustrating because if it did send, then at the price point that I wanted it to buy at, it's not, it says pending. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's kind of just recap about the stocks that we were talking about. We were talking about AMD. AMD usually has a nice little sell-off. It usually picks up during pre-market hours and has a nice little sell-off when the market opens. Therefore, it creates a nice little bounce when you identify the support and a nice little margin for you to make a profit on. Usually is about 1 to 1.5%, nothing huge. Moving on to RAD. RAD was showing consistent signs of upward momentum. So it was consistently rising after the support that they had at $2.21. We called out the support on RAD for stocks for July. Not too sure if you guys saw that video. It continued to show signs of upward momentum. The reason that I thought that it was going to continue to rise was because this is Rite Aid. It had a huge drop, usually builds a support, and then again builds this little cup. Didn't mean that it was going to 100%. I just thought it had potential. And although it did continue to rise within the past couple of days, it hit a resistance at 277 and then it had a sell-off and now has a support and now broke that support. So now it's showing signs of downward momentum, which is not something that we want to invest in. INO, we called out the support originally at 620 that it had during pre-market hours, broke below that support, broke below the 610 support as you guys saw, and is now heading down to $6. Where is this heading down to? Well, if we go a little bit further back, I mean, I'm guessing right now it's at close to 52-week lows. It looks like, what is this? $5. About $6 is a pretty solid support. Wow. I guess I should have looked into that a little bit more. But yeah, if we look at the overall low points, the demand is usually pretty high. So what I mean by that, it usually bounces pretty well at $6. So if you guys would label this as a good swing trade, then look into it. It looks like realistically when it bounces at this price point, it can hit highs of 885, hit highs of 725, and then hit highs of 850. So 850 is the overall resistance. As you can see, it peaked out there once, peaked out there twice, but realistically, at least it peaked out every single time that it bounced at this resistance at about $7. So from $6 to $7, that's over 10% potential. It comes down to you as an investor if you see value in that. DFFN, yes, I'm super pumped. DFF, we called out the support at 230. We did that well. I thought I had my alert set at 250. It broke above the resistance. It broke above the resistance that I had pre-market hours. This is more of a breakout momentum stock, so hopefully Connor and his team caught that. Hit highs of $3, which is a common resistance. The importance of, if you do jump into a momentum stock, always have a stop loss, as you're following that specific stock. There's nothing wrong with giving it some cushion or, at least having your max percentage lost in mind. Again, it comes down to being able to minimize your loss and promote, consistent growth within your account. JNUG, I did pretty well in that position. Yesterday, I got in, not at the best price. I was at 1735 because I identified that at the bounce to be, a resistance at 1730, but I wanted it to continue to rise back up. Did very well. I'm showing the sign of upward momentum. I didn't sell because I wanted it to be a swing trade. Therefore, today I ended up selling at the resistance at 1760 because of the resistance that I saw during pre-market hours was, I thought, a little bit more valid than the previous resistance that it saw the day before. So it comes down to something that's simple. It's, again, hitting lows of about 1735 once again. But other than that, ZN, where's that monster at? Where's it at? Oh, man, had a nice little sell-off. Hit highs of 522, or hit highs of 524, so it has a resistance at 530. Nice little sell-off to 480. Why did it bounce at 480? Well, 480 was a previous resistance, as you guys can see here. So again, old resistance levels become new support levels, but it had a really bad sell-off, so I'm pretty sure there's a pretty big buyer at that point. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, these candlesticks are usually ranging from about like a couple tens of thousands. This is 101,000, so nice little sell-off. Where's the stand? So as you guys can see, usually when ZN sees nice little momentum, rides up, the volume does pretty well. And then once it starts to kind of flatline with the volume, which are these little blue bars, so does the stock itself. It makes sure that it's aware that it has a resistance at 520. And then, yeah, I mean, it's now showing signs of downward momentum. It's trying to hold above $5, but again, who knows? It's I think a little bit more, a little too hyped up right now. So, and Diaz is at a pretty good price right now. If I don't find anything that's meeting my needs, and if I actually did not take this position on INO, so I'm gonna have to call them and see what's going on. It's had, I mean, 2280 is a pretty solid resistance that it's had before. So it does go below it sometimes, but as it breaks above, it's a good indicator that that's usually where it bounces, or a good indication that it's showing signs of upward momentum, as you guys can see, based on previous trends. So again, if it makes sense to you, great. If it doesn't, then don't trade it. And it has a resistance at 2. What's that margin? 1.7, and then highs of 2.5. So again, nothing huge. I'm going to end the live stream here, guys. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in. Robinhood is not working for anyone. Oh, wow. Okay, well, my Fidelity isn't working. Yeah, Robinhood is, I mean, I would suggest, based on my experiences with Robinhood, take a bunch of screenshots, you trying to sell, and the error message that they are giving you. I have seen, and again, this just comes down to Robinhood. I'm really sorry about that, guys. I'll follow up to see if I can make a video with this and see if I can dig a little bit more into it and reach out to them. But let me know what's going on. Feel free to direct message me, again, within the TechBud Solutions group chat. Man, I'm really sorry that all of you are having such a bad experience. I really do apologize with Robinhood. That's why we had the Robinhood $1,000 challenge. I canceled that challenge because of my bad experience that I had once I removed the $25,000 in that account and I started trading under the PDT rule. And it just looked like after I started really trying to trade with that specific account and with those specific restrictions, I continued to, again, experience these delays, these error messages. Their customer support was like the worst. They just take hours to respond, or you could only email them. And when it comes down to like me wanting to contact Fidelity, they answer in seconds. And it comes down to like, if I'm trying to make a profit in minutes or seconds, seconds matter. And 24 to 48 hours, which is their average response rate on their emails, is not useful. So I'll try to follow up with a video. Let me know what exactly is going on. You guys are saying that it's not allowing you to sell, that it continues to error out. Please let me know, and then I'll follow up, with a video kind of explaining it and hopefully just putting all the data that you guys are giving me down together. I want to make sure that you guys understand one thing, and this is the thing that I was going to tell you. Do I remember? Yes. For those that are under the PDT rule, you guys have 3 day trades out of the week. A lot of people think because you only have 3 day trades, but they have the mentality that they have the day trade every day. Make sure that those 3 day trades are the most valuable day trades that you have, that you take advantage of. That doesn't mean that you can't trade every day. That means that you can look for 2 swing trades throughout the week or whatever it is that you see value in, but don't force your trades. Understand that you should have certain criteria set up for every single stock that they meet, meaning that it has to be above a certain, just different indicators that you indicate a stock to be a good buy. If it's at a support, that it's, realistically it could approach a resistance. It has a nice potential for profit and it's much smaller than the potential for loss. It looks like I'm already going or getting a bunch of screenshots or messages through my GroupMe app that you guys are direct messaging me about Robinhood. But just guys, like, you guys have to understand that, not every stock is going to have potential. You guys have to understand that. Focus on good quality stocks. And people always ask, hey guys, what's the best stock that I can trade? That comes down to you as the investor to qualify stock as the best stock, because we're all different styles of trader. Always when they ask, just that generic question, it's so I try to help you guys as much as I can. I can't tell you guys where to buy. I can't tell you guys where to trade. And I don't want to, because then it just means that you guys are mimicking what I'm doing and what I see value in. And that doesn't mean that that's what you guys see value in. Understand the importance of dedicating time to learn the whole mechanics of trading. We have a series of videos within my YouTube channel that are called the Helpful Video Playlist. They go into the basics of how to identify potential, how much money should you be starting out with, like support and resistance, just the very basics of how to get started. And it comes down to you, that if this is a market that you want to be successful in, to dedicate time to make it happen. If you want to continue asking questions and you're not willing to put forth the time, then I would encourage you to rather just leave it right now, because this isn't a market where you get lucky as a career. You might get lucky from time to time, but I can promise you, you will see more red days than green days if you rely on luck. Continue working hard, continue identifying potential, continue planning out your trade, and continue sharing your best practices and mistakes within the TechBot Solutions Facebook platform. Remember that I'm not going to be approving any posts that don't have to do with trading or that aren't in the proper format when it comes out to calling out stocks. I don't care if you guys are just posting hey, JNUG looks good. I'm not going to approve that anymore. It's really diluting the quality of information being shared within our community. And therefore, once we're about to make the transition over to our actual TechBot Solutions website, which will integrate everything that we have on Facebook and everything that we have within GroupMe and put it all together, making it that much more efficient and effective with the different features that we're going to be including for us to communicate with one another. And I want to make sure that you guys at least have a proper understanding on how to maintain the quality of, our group. Are we going to become another StockTwits that just shares whatever it is that we're trading just because of it? No, we know that we're better than that, and we know that we're a team. So by being a team, we want to give others a better understanding of why we see potential in it. So identify the support, identify the resistance. It takes about maybe 30 seconds more. But when it comes down to posting your trades on the GroupMe app, or when it comes down to posting the Facebook group, the information and the quality that's being shared, those 30 seconds more, are going to save people so much more time to see value in what it is that you're investing in. Regardless of what you're exposed to, make sure that you dedicate time to not rely based on someone else's opinion, but to do your own DD work. I have to get this thing resolved with Fidelity, and then I'll follow up with you guys within Robinhood. I do have an extremely busy day when it comes down to the rest of my entire day. I'm not too sure what I'm going to film for the helpful video. I think I might just be going live and recapping how my trades go, or maybe recapping later tonight, most likely around 8:30 Mountain Standard Time, for a quick little live stream. So if you guys want to join us, please be sure to subscribe and turn on your post notifications if you guys haven't done so already. The link is down below if you guys haven't joined TechBot Solutions. And for those that haven't checked out yesterday's video that want to learn how to make a little bit more money, like using Turo and stuff like that, again, check out that video, and then you guys can get $25 off on your first rental, or you guys can start renting out your own car and making a passive income, or just a side extra source of income on the side as well. Guys, do your work and continue identifying potential yourself. This is not a market where we can spoon feed you. Just understand that. And that's really just it, guys. So continue working hard, continue doing what it is that you guys love, and I want to be a part of your success. I just need you guys to dedicate time to learn the basics and fundamentals of trading, so we can have an overall just better foundation when it comes to the group of TechBot Solutions. So I hope you guys understand that. Thank you guys again, and we'll see you guys in our live stream at about 8:30 Mountain Standard Time. That's PM. So thank you guys again. Take care.